My next guest is retired Air Force with 20 years of service. During his time in the military, he logged over 3,000 flight hours as a loadmaster on several operational and flight test aircrafts. He is the president and co-founder of Vetlanta, an organization operated exclusively for veteran social and business networking and community service purposes. Please welcome to the show, Lloyd Knight. Mr. Lloyd, thank you for your service. All right, tell us more about Vetlanta and the services that you offer.
Well, Vetlanta is really a passion of mine. So I work for UPS, and I started the very first Veterans Business Resource Group at UPS. And that was about 7 years ago, and I did 2 one-year stints. And at the end of my second year, I get this call from John Phillips and David Wademaker, who worked at Coca-Cola. And they wanted to have a meeting to bring the veterans groups from the different Fortune 100 companies in a room together to talk about what each of our organizations was doing for veterans. And so we had that very first meeting, and there was probably maybe 10 companies, 15 to 20 veterans in the room, and we were amazed. All our companies were doing amazing things for veterans, both locally and nationally. But what was missing was the collaboration. So we weren't talking to each other. And we were doing wonderful things, hiring lots of veterans and spouses, but really not collaborating with each other. And that was such a positive, great first meeting. We decided to have a second meeting. And in that second meeting, we talked about what would become the foundation of Vetlanta. And that's one, honesty, integrity. And really, we talked about what nonprofits were out there that were providing value to veterans and their families, and then what ones weren't. And we had really honest and open dialogue. And from there, we decided, hey, this is such good communication. Let's continue it. And we eventually formed as a club. And one of the things we ask ourselves is, are the actions we're taking, are they helping veterans and their families? And then the second thing we've decided to do is, let's set a big goal for ourselves. And our goal is to make Atlanta the top destination for veterans.
Oh, you're right. That was a great story. Oh, wow. So when did you all start this organization?
So we started 5 years ago. So it was the very first meeting. We formed about 4.5 years ago. And we've grown substantially. So from that first 15 to 20 people in the room, we're over 2,000 members now. We have quarterly summits, and we have about between 400 and 500 members show up at our quarterly summits.
Wow. So what does your organization, or how does your organization differ from other veteran organizations?
Well, one of the big ones is we decided really to charter ourselves never to take any money. So we're focused on collaboration and volunteerism. And what we wanted to do is, first of all, we didn't take any money because we didn't want our companies and our foundations to divert money from nonprofits that were out there providing really impactful service to fund us. And then the second one, we wanted to focus on the collaboration and volunteerism, and it's done that. So it's really our elevator speech starts off with, I don't want your money. And I want your volunteerism, I want your collaboration. Let's go out to the community. And, we're a collaborator. We connect a lot of dots around Atlanta to help veterans.
Wow. Now, what branch of the military were you in?
So I was in the Air Force for 20 years. I joined when I was 17. And I joined because I love our country. I wanted to serve. I needed a job pretty desperately at the time, too. And then I wanted to fly. So I spent 20 years. And then I retired.
So you understand what it's like to be in the military and transition back into civilian life? I do. So my transition was great. Yeah, I had a full year of planning because I knew what I wanted to do. The Air Force took care of me. I left with 4 college degrees. I was well prepared to really start my next career. And then I was lucky. I started my what we call terminal leave on a Friday, and started with UPS corporate on a Monday. And so my transition wasn't that difficult. What I did miss, though, was the people. Mm-hmm. So I miss, and I think that's a common thing, I miss the people, I miss the esprit de corps. And that was really missing for many years
here in Atlanta, and then I found Vetlanta, and we've replaced that, and we bond the community together.
I love that. So you're still serving your country through Vetlanta.
I am. So I'm a patriot. So I love our country. I have a desire to support veterans, but it's just not me. I mean, when you come out, the energy in the room at our summits, and there's 500 of me at the summits. People with the passion to serve our country and to take care of our veterans and their families.
Okay, can you tell me more about the Jim Casey Community Service Award?
Yeah, sure. I work for UPS, and our founder is the Jim Casey. So we're 111 years old, and our company really focuses a lot on the community and the communities we live in. And so we have an award called the Jim Casey Community Service Award, and it's given each year for the last 26 years to one of our 454,000 employees for making an impact in their community. And I was really blessed this year to win the award. And I was able to receive the award in front of our management committee and their conference in Toronto, Canada. And it's absolutely phenomenal to be recognized for something you have a passion and you absolutely love doing. So I'm really proud of what UPS does for our community, and they've really seen it for veterans. We have almost 30,000 veterans that work for us. And they really helped me establish the Veterans Business Resource Group in Atlanta, and they've seen the power of Vetlanta. They're highly involved.
What are some of the challenges that you see some of our veterans facing?
So, one of the biggest challenges is veterans like myself. I joined when I was 17. I had never written a resume. I never had a job interview. So it can be a very difficult struggle to translate those skills on a resume. And then to go into an interview and talk about I, because in the military we're so used to talking about we. And then veterans do a great job networking with each other. We do a horrible job networking with an external network. So, that could be very difficult. That's the most common challenge that I see. But there's other serious challenges. We have post-traumatic stress disorder, traumatic brain injury. Unfortunately, we still have homeless veterans, even in the city of Atlanta. So, there's a lot of work that still needs to be done.
Do you have a success story that you can share with us?
We have a lot of success stories. One of the things I've challenged Vetlanta is let's not just measure success with spreadsheets. So we're going to measure success by real one-off stories. And one of my favorite happened about a year ago. I was moderating a panel for veterans that were either underemployed or unemployed, or transitioning veterans and their spouses, and we had it here in Atlanta, and maybe 20 veterans in the room, and we had a veteran in the back that a little bit older than me that raised his hand at the end to ask a question, but it wasn't really a question. He was making a statement about a job interview he had the day before. And he really didn't do a good job on the job interview. He got offended by a question, and he really took his frustration out on the hiring manager. And I was one of the panelists I invited was a vice president of HR from UPS, East St. Louis, a native. A pretty hardcore guy, but been very successful with UPS. And when the guy asked the question, he brought him down on stage and had him sit down in front of him and said, "Let me tell you, when I was asked this question 30 years ago, this is how I handled it." And he gave the gentleman advice: call back the hiring manager, just tell him your story, how your frustration, and make it right. Absolutely make it right. And the gentleman did. So what ended up happening was it was a great story. What we didn't know at the time was he was a homeless veteran. He was a homeless veteran that was being housed. He had a job, but he was only making about $17,000 a year. So he followed our advice, and guess what? He got a job. He got the job, and he went on to make I think it was about $55,000 a year as a nighttime auditor at one of the big hotels in Atlanta. And it significantly changed his life. And what we ended up having in a future summit, he got on stage in front of 450 people and told his story.
Oh my, okay. how can our audience reach you? We've got to help promote what you do. You do great work in the community. So how can our audience?
Yeah, check us out, vetlanta.org, vetlanta.org. Take a look at our 6 pillars that we have. There's always a opportunity to get involved. And if you can't get involved directly in Vetlanta, we have a whole wealth of nonprofits that we can help you connect you with. And then if you want to connect with me directly, I'm all over LinkedIn.
Awesome.
So just drop me a message.
And one more thing before we go, any upcoming events? I know you talk about your summits, any upcoming events that anyone can participate in potentially?
Yeah, we do. We got a lot of great events this week. I'm going to be a moderating a panel for the U.S. Chamber Hiring Our Heroes Foundation. We got a couple of business pillar events, one with BB&T and one with the Phoenix Patriot Foundation. And then October 25th, we have our Q4 Summit. It's going to be at Georgia Tech, which we're really excited about. So to get on our mailing list at vetlanta.org, and you'll get invites to all our events. And then we're really excited. We're going to start off next year with a Q1 Summit. It's going to be hosted by KPMG, and Q2 Summit is going to be hosted by the Atlanta Falcons.
Wow,
so we're at the stadium, so we're pumped.
Awesome. That's so good to know. And one last question. Tell us something that you want our audience to know that we didn't cover in our conversation.
Yeah, Veterans Day doesn't just have to be one day, right? So it's great. We get a lot of volunteers that want to come out and help in Veterans Day, but come out in July, come out in March. There's great organizations out there. Veterans Empowerment Organization is one of the homeless shelters for veterans in the city. We could definitely use your help. We have the SHARE program at the Shepherd Center, which treats post-traumatic stress disorder and traumatic brain injury. And we have the VA nursing home. So the VA nursing home, the patients there could always use a visit for you. So just get involved.
Tell our audience how they can be in contact with you.
Yeah, sure. The first was through our website, www.vetlanta.org. That's VETLANTA. Sign up for our newsletter. And if you sign up for our newsletter, you'll get direct invites to our events. And then I love LinkedIn. I'm all over LinkedIn, so drop me a message, and I promise I'll get back to you.
Sounds good. And we'll make sure that we have all your contact information on our website and social media. And I have to thank you once again for serving our country and for joining us here in Contact in the studio. And again, for everything that you do in the community post your experience in the military. And I think I can actually talk to you all day.
Thanks. It's my pleasure.
My pleasure. Thank you. And we'll be right back.
My name is Alicia Hall, and I'm an environmental analyst for Georgia Power, and I work in the dosimetry lab. I got involved with our employee research group called TWIG, which is Technical Women in Georgia. So basically, all of the women in our organization that are in the technical roles, we go out to the community and recruit young women. Cool Girls got started in 2013. It's a program to expose students to science, technology, engineering, and math. We taught them about renewables, about nuclear, and about coal. I wish that when I was younger, I had guidance and I had someone to tell me that I could do it.
When I get out of high school and go to college, I would like to learn about engineering.
Once I see that a young lady does have an interest in the science field or engineering field, I always tell them that they can be successful if they work hard, and no matter what anyone tells them, they belong in that field.